This is a sketchbook that I started a few weeks ago, and honestly it's given me so much joy and inspiration that I just wanted to share it with you this month. I talked a lot in my newsletter last month, a lot about creating art just for the sake of making art, so creating as if no one's watching. And I really believe that this is when we make our very best stuff, because it just feels so good and it fills us up creatively, and we've got no worries about what we should or shouldn't be doing. We're just free to play. Well, I'm kind of going along with that feeling of I've let go of any expectation of making bigger pieces of finished art at the moment anyway, and this sketchbook is where I've been playing. So I wanted to have a flick through of it today for two reasons really. One is purely selfish, that I love flicking through sketchbooks and seeing what I've created. When you make something in a sketchbook, it's really satisfying to flick through the pages, reflect on what you've made, and you can start to make connections between things that you like, maybe you want to move forward with, and then other pages that maybe a technique you've tried you never want to see again, you don't want to do again. And of course the second reason for sharing it is that I'm hoping that it might inspire someone else to have a go too. So maybe if you've been struggling to pick up a sketchbook or a pen or a paintbrush or anything for a few days, weeks, months, and you feel like you're missing it but you want a way back in, this could be a really nice way to get back into it. So it's just a plain A5 sketchbook. These are some that I had made a few years ago that I've just not used them. They didn't sell, so I've got them, and I think that's one of the reasons as well that it's made it easy for me to work in. There's only 30 pages in them, so it's nice and manageable. I'm not feeling like I'm going to have to be working for weeks or months to fill it up. The paper's quite thick, so it can take paint and lots of things being stuck on it, but there's no pressure with these books. I haven't bought them especially, they're just what I had lying around anyway. So it started off with this photograph, and this photograph is one that is just on the back of an envelope. I just loved the oranges and the blue sky as it was, you know, starting to turn grey and damp around here. I was probably thinking more of sunshine, and these oranges just lifted me up. So I thought, right, collage from that, and created this page using tissue papers and Posca pens and some photo printouts, things that I already had. I loved working on that, and then it led me on to thinking actually orange is a colour that I don't have many papers in orange, and it's a colour that I really struggle to mix. So I went on a bit of a rabbit hole of mixing lots of different types of orange, using different starting points, cadmium red with lemon yellow, created these ones, and just kind of explored that and decided which ones I liked, which ones I wasn't as keen on for the orange, and which ones I wanted to go forward with. When I made these, I made them onto paper, so painted pieces of paper with them, and then cut out these circles and stuck them into the book. So it meant I had loads of pieces of collage paper in the colours that I wanted, ready to use, which is what I used on the next page here, and mixed it up with some of my favourite collage papers from my stash. And then carried on that theme. For this one I created the background, so the leaves on a separate piece of paper, and then I slashed into it with a craft knife to sort of layer up the orange circle, so they kind of feed into these bits where I've cut here. If you can see, this sort of lifts up and the orange is kind of peeking out from behind it. Then I realised that I didn't have any green papers, and I wasn't confident at mixing green, so I had to go at mixing different greens, and discovered the colours that I like the best, which type of green, and again from that gave me more collage papers to work with. So I cut out lots of leaves. Love this page, it kind of reminds me of like a balcony or something looking out across the sea. And then from that I'd cut out these leaves from one piece of green paper, this piece, so then I used this almost as a mask on top of some oranges behind, and then drew on top of it and worked the flowers on top as well. So each page kind of leads on to the next. I don't have an idea for what I want to do far in advance, I just concentrate on working on that page that I'm doing at that time. I wanted to try and incorporate some of my photographs, so these are my photographs printed out onto tissue paper, and I had started thinking about how we visited Italy earlier this year and I took lots of photographs. This was of an olive tree, this was of the pebbles on a path near a beach, and I wanted to incorporate some of those photos into these, so I printed them out onto tissue paper. That's the technique that I teach in my course, Playful Pages, so if you are interested in learning more about that, I'll stick the link to that in the description. And I just wanted to work with a few collage papers, maybe like 4 or 5, and tried to limit it a bit in these smaller ones. I love how these photos sort of contrast against the colourful pieces behind. And then my kids were messing about with some plastic sheets, some acetate that we had left over from when I was teaching. And yeah, so I just played around with that, working with different pens on top, paint pens and Sharpie pens, and then layering it up with collage behind. So really just playing with what was at hand. And with this, I've no idea what I'll use this for, but I know that I liked seeing the black and the green and the orange. Maybe it's because it links back to the photographs that I've used here. I don't know. They're all stepping stones. I'm not sure where they're leading quite yet, but that's not that important to me at the moment. Had a go at mixing different types of blue with different combinations, and then realised that the palette that I was using was quite a limited palette, and so I created this page just using 4 colours. So this is alizarin crimson, lemon yellow, fluorescent orange, and this cerulean blue. And just look at all the range of colours you can get just from those 4 colours. I mean, you can probably get thousands more than that, but these are just the ones that I was working with. And these are the ones that I've decided to carry on working with as I move forward as well. So this makes it much easier when I'm working in my sketchbook and working on making collage papers. If I know that I'm working with a limited palette, I know that I just need to grab these 4 colours at the start of a session. I can leave them in my palette, I can leave them out, or I can make pots up, you know, with them already mixed. And it just saves that time of having to make decisions about colours every single time. I took a photo when we were in Italy, or I stuck it in the back as well, of these 4 oranges on a plate, and this page was inspired by that. So just thinking about different ways of arranging them, different ways of layering up the blues and the oranges, and how many ways you could work it. And then this one to finish this book off, but then I've also gone on to a second book pretty much straight away. So filling this one up as well, trying to work in a different way on each page. So this is from using lots of collage scraps and making like a master sheet and then cutting it up and creating these mini compositions from that. Just a fun way of exploring the same materials and reflecting on them, looking back on them like this. It really helps to kind of think, right, well, which one do I like the best out of those? I don't think about that as I'm making it, but when I look back, I think, right, well, this one, this is what I like. What do I like about this one? Is it because it doesn't have any black on? Is it because it only has a slither of green? Is it because, I don't know, it's got this large orange shape here? And then I start thinking about ways I could take that forward. Could I do a whole series based just on using these colours only? So it just helps me to kind of ask those questions as I'm going through. This was a page that I did using some orange card, some shiny sort of glossy card that I got for my kids to work with, but then I got it dragged me in to working with it as well. It's really, really nice. It's kind of, these is just paint pens, Posca pens on top of the glossy orange card, and then this is on top of green with the orange cut out and stuck on. And then I've made lots of collage papers using that limited palette. And so these pages are kind of using up some of those collage papers. Again, another tissue paper photo printout. This is of a sign that I saw in Italy, which I'm glad to get that used. This is one of my favourite pages, actually. I really like this one. Been doing some jelly prints as well. So again, picking up, I used some stencils, made some orange stencils and created some jelly prints using those. And then just trying to bring in everything. You know, you can already see connections from this book at the beginning, where I've got the oranges and the stripes, all the stripes and the blues and the oranges. It's all still coming through in this page, but just in a different way. Another slightly more chaotic landscape based one. I'm thinking about sort of zooming in on sections. I've been making these really big collage papers as well and cutting them up and then using them on these pages. And then this last one in here, which is kind of a little landscape as well, maybe zooming out, thinking about these orange trees on the hillside. So I hope that that has inspired you. Maybe it's given you a few ideas. Perhaps you've got a photo in mind that you think could spark a sketchbook like this. These sketchbooks have already given me the inspiration for another few projects. I've made a concertina journal and another fold-out book using those larger collage papers that I talked about. So I will do another video following on from this one, exploring those in a bit more detail. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel and to my Creative Fix newsletter. I'll share it with you there. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.